Hey, Dad, welcome to Lessons Learned live Sunday night at 8 o'clock. And you know what we do?
Hey, son, we get together and we talk and have a good Rickey Harvey Senior and Rickey Harvey Junior time. How you doing?
I'm really cool. I appreciate another opportunity just for us to kind of share some of our private conversations in the public space. That's all. No intention to be experts, but we're sharing from experience, and that really matters.
We're sharing from experience.
Hey, everybody, I see y'all coming in. Once you come in,
between father and son.
Those who are coming in, will you drop a hello? Say hello to us in the comment section. I see y'all. We're getting likes and shares already. Y'all share this. Let somebody know that Lessons Learned is live. Y'all may hear a little extra noise in the background. We
appreciate it. We appreciate it so much.
Dad, I'm not seeing you. You seem a little paused.
We appreciate that.
There you go. Okay, you're caught up now. Hello to everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in. Lessons Learned Live. We didn't even promote this one. Hopefully our audience, y'all, we just want you to know 8 o'clock on Sundays, this is where you need to be. Dad, we've done a full month, so we may not continue to do every Sunday, but it's just good to be on. But I want to go ahead and get right to it. I want to let you know, Dad, and our viewers know that I am sitting down to a crab leg meal on tonight. And so while we talk, what is it called when you it's called a mukbang? Mukbang. This is a mukbang show because I'm going to eat these crab legs from Seafood Connection while we in Dad. So I want to start talking about, as we discuss lessons learned, I want to talk about this transitional period. A lot is happening. First of all, Dad, I want to get you squared away.
Let's do it.
A lot is happening with the technological necessities of our leadership. You've been in the pastoral game almost 40 years, and you didn't need a camera when you started. I'm looking at you. You got a ring light. You have your phone, and you have the necessary technologies. You even minister from a green screen in your ministry context. How have you been transitioning? First of all, I need everybody to share. We're looking at a small congregation, and we're megachurch social media pastors. And it's only a few of us in the room. We're going to go on in this name, but we need to click the share button. Praise the Lord. Okay, go ahead, Dad. Talk about your technological transition. And I'm going to smash the crab leg while we...
Yeah.
We're listening to you, preacher. It's on you. Technological transitions, man of God. Is it our internet going bad? I believe it is.
Spirit, our church has. Are you hearing me good?
Yes, sir.
I would not say that I have a lot of experience or any experience in audio and visual. It's just that you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. And what was given to us, are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir, I am.
I'm not sure if you're hearing me. Are you hearing me, Julia?
I'm hearing you. I'm having technical. Oh, all right. He is gone at this point. So as we wait for him to come back, hey, y'all, everybody that's on, will you say hello in the comments? I see about 20 of y'all on. Say hello. I see Pastor DeHydra, right? Miss Deborah Mack is here. The best I can be. Hey, y'all. Tonight, we're going to talk about the power of being able to be flexible in transition. Life in a lot of ways, of course, we're in COVID-19, and often life will put you in a position to need to be flexible unexpectedly. So what do you do as a leader, as a person? And we're all leaders in our own right. You're a leader in your home. You're a leader. Hey, what's up, my bro in Buffalo? We're all leaders in our own right. So how do we lead in a way that is open to transition? So the question I just asked my dad, and he will return in a moment. Rakita, if you will text him, Rickey Harvey Mangum is here. She's going to be our tech support tonight. And our viewership is going way, way down, but God knows how to solve every problem in the world. Okay. So Dad is having technical difficulties. And maybe this is what this lessons learned is about. Here's the lesson. Keep going, y'all. I'm improvising in this moment. I don't know what's going on, but otherwise you wouldn't know if I wasn't open enough to tell you. Oh, here he is. He's coming back. He's back. He's back. tech support if you will back away so that you do not distract him.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Harvey, you are back in the room. Thank you.
Now, are you hearing me?
I hear you well. Yes, sir.
Well, it's funny that you would ask me the question about technology, and the moment I think you need to turn your camera down, turn your volume down a little bit too, because I'm hearing the echo.
Okay.
Okay. The moment you ask me about technology, I lose a connection. So I just think one of the things as leaders is we just got to stay up. And we were dealt with this nasty virus that took us outside of our buildings when most of us were running CD and video ministries already in sanctuaries with improper lighting, improper sound, but improper lighting. And unfortunately, it seemed to have satisfied our audience and probably satisfied us. And I say that's very unfortunate. But when we were dealt this new hand, I knew that I could not represent God first, nor could I represent God's church. You know, my God is a good God, and my church is a great church. And I did not want my church to be seen, I'm almost sad to say, in a light that we had been seen in.
Sure.
And so I sought out, knowledge is just something that you seek. We are all ignorant to some facts, and when you acknowledge the fact that I have a need and I don't have the knowledge, and so I express the need to persons who had the knowledge.
Stay there.
And that's why, yeah.
And I appreciate the depth that we discover how if we only look at life at face value, we will miss the lessons to be learned as we live.
Sure.
And so I just heard you talk about huge things. One, in our leadership regarding the church, that we represent God, right? How necessary is that for us to be aware in our doing and in our being, that we don't simply represent a man-made institution called church, but we represent the uncreated, the invincible, and the invisible everlasting God. And in addition to that, I think it's important that you noted that while essence is primary, optic is important. Can somebody put that in the chat section as it relates to leadership and life, as it relates to your identity? Essence is primary, but optic is important. And what that means is, yes, you can be a church that loves God, believes in the Bible. You are the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. You speak to social justice concerns. You feed the hungry. You look after the widow and the orphan. But sometimes your essence and the attraction to the essence can be decreased if the optic is not optimal. I feel helping this.
Right. Whoa, Doc, that's heavy. That's heavy, Julian. So if the optic is not
optimal,
again,
and so we fail to draw people to the essence of our faith and the essence of what the church has to offer in days like these. If we do not, to your point, if we do not prioritize how we offer. Notice this, and it's amazing, Dad. And I'm like Kanye told the white young lady he interrupted at the war show. I'm gonna let you finish, but it's amazing, Taylor Swift, right? It's amazing how the church, so many of our churches look exactly like they did. The buildings, the experience, they look exactly like they did 50 years ago. And you look at the corporate world, the industry, such as McDonald's, Popeyes, Burger King, they readjust their menu to accommodate a healthier culture. They readjust, they change the face of their building to attract new faces in a modern age. And why does the church, because you've been doing this longer than me, So I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Here's a question, and we're gonna go back to technology because that's where we're going tonight. But here's a question: why does the church so widely seem to think that we get to stay the same and still be effective?
Okay, now that question from you to me, it probably really speaks to a millennial speaking to a baby boomer. And so, in all fairness, I've got to answer it from my perspective, and then you have to answer it from your perspective. I'm not sure that the church desires to stay in the place that it is. But one of the things that the church, and I think we said this in one of our lives, that the church, what young preachers must always remember is that the church is a ship and not a canoe. And you can't turn the church unless there is a crisis. And the church is responding to a crisis. Everything else will need meetings, conversations, persuasions, and finances once the persuasion is there. So I'm not sure if the church is stuck or if the church is moving so slow as we baby boomers and those who are older than me are moving the church that the millennials are jumping out of, and I won't say out of line, but jumping out of that model that we're in, jumping out of the model and going into a model that's working for the millennials.
Here is my concern, Dad. I do agree that the church is a ship. Right. And that we should see it that way. My concern is that the experience of the church is too much like a cruise ship and too little like a battleship.
And so there are some things that Bible say come by fasting, praying, and now I will add coronavirus. Some things come through fasting, praying, and coronavirus. I think all of us, myself included, wanted some of the technology that we have now.
Sure.
Fasting and praying didn't get it, but coronavirus did.
Necessity.
And so that's my position. I think it takes either a person who's going to break ship and be demanding and almost tear up the tradition and the culture that's laid there versus, for example, son, it took me 10 years to get cable TV.
Sure.
It took me 10 years to get cable TV. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I wanted cable. And the interesting thing is this: I didn't fight for it. I asked for it for 10 years, and I've had it forever. I never watch it. And so sometimes we got to even deal with, why do we want what we want? Here's another case in point. It took me 5-6 years requesting, demanding, asking for online giving. And this set of leaders that I have now is probably one of the best leaders. And I think we're going to talk about leadership tonight too. Is one of the best set of leaders that I've ever had in my 35-year career. But through bids and conversations, a 6-7 year period passed. Corona hit, and in 1 week, we were online giving. We had everything that we needed. So crises are not bad if you maximize the moments of their crisis. Just you got to use everything you got. You got to use your influence. You've got to use talented people to speak for you sometimes. And then you got to take these crises and use them uh, while it's hot. Because if we had to do some things now, I think even you said the other day, you're done with the coronavirus. And
Big
so
time.
there were things that people had to move fast to do in order to get done. And that's one of the things our church has done very well is just move with this moment. And I'm very excited and happy about how our church has moved and how a lot of churches that I know and pastors have been able to get some things done in this season. So this season has not been a bad season at all.
Sure. So speaking of moving fast and how leaders have to make decisions
One of us is
during.
locked up.
No, I'm smooth. I hope you can hear me well. I see you moving smoothly as well. Speaking of moving fast and how leaders have to make decisions during crisis, um, we serve in different states, me in Maryland and you in New York. And a New York State judge has ruled against the governor of New York, his position on reopening churches. This judge suggests that churches should go back to 100%. My first question to you is, are you reopening the first Sunday in July?
No, sir.
Hold on, wait, hold on, Rev. I said the New York State judge says y'all ought to go back to 100%. So,
You did say
okay,
that.
so why?
Turn your body down.
Oh, you still ringing? Okay, I'm gonna turn mine down, but you turn yours down too, Bishop. Because so why aren't you leading the congregation that you're at the helm of into reopening now?
Well, first of all, our governor got in trouble for understanding Black America during the protests, the peaceful protests for against racism,
Sure.
and he understood Black America doing their stand against police brutality, and he spoke up. Our governor spoke up and he spoke up with Black America. And when you speak up and speak with Black America, then unfortunately, other powers will stand up and speak against you. And so, what the judge basically says, and it's not basically, in fact, what he said was, if you're going to let 100,000 people, predominantly Black people, walk the streets, protest peacefully, it was, without masks, then open up the churches and let them all go back to the churches. The judge didn't say that the conditions are better. The judge didn't say that the virus is, a vaccine is underway, that there is a vaccine for the virus. The judge did not say anything about the health of the people, other than if you're going to let people march in the streets, hundreds of thousands of Black people, dark-skinned people, along with white people and others who join, if you're going to let them do that in the street, then open up the church and just let them have at it. And so, one, it's the spirit of the ruling. And two, it's the conditions that go with the ruling. The ruling was not for the people. The ruling was against the concern that the governor has for the people. And so I still stand, one, in great appreciation for the governor, but two, in a greater appreciation, concern, and care for the people that I lead.
I think that's valuable and important, right? I'm going to ask my studio audience to make a little less noise. Thank you so much. I think it's really important that you are at the helm of at a ministry, and you find it important to prioritize people over politics and the kind of things that you're interpreting are happening in that way. And so even considering the crisis and what we're kind of serving through these days. And I certainly don't want to beat the dead horse and be another panel about pastoring in the pandemic. I'm so tired of that. I hope people stop inviting me to those. I'm sure I'm going to stop accepting those invitations. I'm retiring from Facebook virtual panels. I'm announcing my retirement in this moment, Dad. Cash out me $100 to celebrate my retirement.
That's an easy question. That's an easy do. Easy fix.
Dad, tell me two things that you are sure about. A lot of pastors and preachers follow us, among many others. But would you tell me two things that you know for sure, two about pastoring and two about preaching? Two things that you know for sure about pastoring and preaching.
One for sure about pastoring is not all of us who are called to preach are called to pastor.
Wow.
That's one. Not all of us who are called to preach are called to pastor. I guess the second thing, right quick, Rick, if I would say what I know for sure about pastoring is if you can take it,
yeah,
you can make it.
Ooh.
If you can take it,
wow,
you can make it.
Wow.
And so that would be it. Not all of us are called for this. Not all of us are built for this.
I love that.
And then if you can take it, you can make it. This is not the place for thin skin. This is not the place for where you look for appreciation. I don't care how many anniversaries you get. This is not the place for if appreciation and thanks is what you're looking for, and attaboys. If that's what you're looking for, this is not the place to be. You've got to be able to take it. If you think that everybody's smiling, and I've had a great run, don't misunderstand me, but if you think that everybody's smiling means you're good, this is not the place for you. And if you think that everybody who does not smile means you harm, this is not the place for you. This is a place for seriousness. So those two things right there I know about pastoring. Take it, you can make it. And not everybody is built for this. You're calling to preach does not mean that you're called to pastor. Two things that I would say I've learned and I know about preaching that just as, and this is for me, if you don't practice, you'll never be good. You'll never be good. You'll never be good. You've got to take this as a gift, just like Michael Jordan sees basketball as a gift. And that sort of dates me when I say Michael Jordan, but I do know LeBron James. You got to practice preaching. You got to preach in your sleep. You got to preach in the shower. You got to preach in the car. You got to listen to yourself preach. You've got to critique yourself. You've got to practice preaching. You've got to build on your strengths, and you've got to fix your weaknesses. You got to practice. If you don't practice, you don't make it in preaching. And secondly, about preaching, not only do you have to practice, you have to pray. You got to pray. And I don't mean that to be churchy, but when you stand up to preach, you never know how it's going to go. You never know. I don't care how good the word is. You don't know what the connection, one, between you and God is going to be. And you don't know what the connection between you and the people is going to be. So you got to practice and you got to pray. Those are two things about preaching that I would say for the preachers who are listening. Of course, you got to live right and those kind of things. But in terms of preaching, you got to practice to be a good preacher. You got to practice. You got to find some preacher out there that you can mimic for a little while in your voice, People don't like to talk about the voice and the art of preaching. Some think when I'm called, just have at it. If that's the case, just give you a basketball. If basketball is what you don't, just give somebody a ball and have at it. Give somebody a race car and just have at it. Whatever the case, a tennis ball and just have at it if you don't practice. Those are some things I learned for me that I think are helpful for all who are coming along behind me.
Yeah, I love that, Dad, how it is so necessary to that's I think a lesson learned in that for both preaching and pastoring is the personal responsibility that we have in the spiritual work that we're called to. And I, like you, cringe when so many assume that because God has called me and because God has equipped me, that there is no role in my participation in the process of my perfection, right? That perfection is a term that we never reach. It's a process that we always endure.
Sure.
And so I think what I'm hearing you say is, even in my pastoring, even in my preaching, that while God has initiated, while God is the foundation, God is the fiber, God is the wall, God is the energy, God is the spirit, the breath of my ministry, but I have a responsibility to play in the success and the effectiveness and the impact of what God is seeking to do through my ministry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we said this, we don't want to beat horses to death, but somebody said to me once, as you view your ministry, your preaching, your pastoring through the eyes of faith, may God give you as far as you can see. And I think that's what God does. So many of us see ourselves mediocre. And that's what God gives us. He makes us the best mediocre preachers that we could possibly be. Some of us see ourselves as great, whatever and however you define great. And God makes you the best great preacher. Some of us see ourselves as strong evangelists. Some of us see ourselves going across the country. And whatever you see yourself doing, I think God will give you. But if you can't see it and you can't envision yourself doing it, then God's not going to worry you when so many others out there see themselves in that place.
I think here's an invitation. I want to invite you who are sharing with us right now. Put that in the comment section. This is an opportunity for us to release faith in this conversation. Would you put that in the comment section? God, increase my sight. I want to see further. I want to see more. I want to be exposed to more. God, increase my sight, because I'm hearing that when my sight is increased and expanded, that I can have the faith to attain what I have seen. And sometimes we got small faith because we've only seen small things.
Right.
And wow, what an invitation. God, increase my sight. God, increase my sight. That is my prayer for my life and my ministry, that God would help me see more. Because the more I see, the more I can work for it, the more I can get it, the more I can desire, the more I can believe for, the more I can pray for, if God would increase my sight. I love that, Dad. Will you share some of the ways and means that God has increased your sight? If it was relationships, if it was exposure, how was some of the, and I'll share too, because I will begin by sharing, as a matter of fact, and I will honestly say that lessons learned came about. This weekly conversation came about because you, Dad, have been so vital and necessary in the exposure that has been afforded to me in my life, both in ministry and in life. You have been so necessary and vital in what I know to do, what I know not to do. Of course, I've learned some things on my own and seen some things that you've not shown me, but you are at the firm foundation of my ministry and much of my life that that has exposed me. And this is something we talked about, and I got this from you. And I was here. I'm here with your daughter, your only daughter, my oldest sister, here in her house. So my scenery is changing kind of each week. But this is something we discussed last week. Something we got from you. That even when we fall in life, and we've talked about falling in life here on Lessons Learned, but even when we fall in life, we have the opportunity to work and pray and trust God to raise our rock bottom. And so I remember being with you in a season of strain and struggle, and you said, Rick, I'm at rock bottom, but look where I am. Look what the Lord has, look how favored and blessed and well as broken as things can be sometimes. Look how well they are in the same breath. And I think my perspective of that has everything to do with my sight is so increased because of what you have exposed me to. But and I will say many others, right? The church I serve now, St. John Baptist in Columbia, Maryland. Our senior pastor, Robert Turner, has been vital in exposing me and helping to increase my sight, along with various individuals that God has kind of placed in my path. But Dad, what for you has increased your sight?
Rick, this will probably shock you when I tell you this. One was Mike Tyson. Many years ago, Mike Tyson was the world heavyweight champion, and he was, net worth at like $90 million. And then later it came out in all of the papers that Mike Tyson was broke, had hit rock bottom. And when it wasn't TMZ or whoever it was at that time, but whoever it was, Entertainment Tonight, they did an interview on Mike Tyson, and we found out that, basically he only has like 5 houses. At that time when he had hit rock bottom, he only had 5 houses. He only had like 1 Lamborghini, just 1 Rolls Royce. He had to get rid of some of his tigers. You understand? Yeah. He had to get rid of some of his tigers. He only had 2 white tigers. And I said, wow. So that's rock bottom, And so in the world of Mike Tyson, only having like 4 mansions and 1 Lamborghini and 1 Rolls Royce, and he was down to 2 white tigers and had to get rid of some of his help. That was rock bottom. And so I learned that rock bottom was just different for everybody. And Dad has had rock bottoms in your life, but a lot of people would have enjoyed being in my rock bottom, because of having been exposed to so many people. And if you ask me who exposed me, as a child, I was connected with great singers. Casella George was a mother to me and carried me around the country and exposed me. It wasn't just preachers. Inez Andrews was a mother to me and carried me across the country with her. Dynamite Mallon, and Dynamite Mallon, a Memphian, and Lula Collins. These are just women singers who were mothers to me. And then Kenneth Whalum, the father of Kirk Whalum, Kenneth Whalum, Kevin Whalum, Famous Sons, was a father to me. And the list goes on. Melvin Rogers, my pastor, was a superstar of a pastor. And I don't know, Rick, if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but Oris Mays, I saw great things in life. And I knew that if I did the work, then you would get the pay.
Wow.
And so you do the work, you'll get the pay.
I feel that. I'm encouraged by that. Tell me this. You know, I am very young in my ministry journey, in my pastorate, and there's more phases and stages for me soon to come. How does one avoid being both a pastor and making pastoral foolish decisions? To the best of our ability, right?
Rick,
There will be mountains and valleys in every aspect of our lives. How do you, Drape, you crazy, man. How do you avoid making foolish pastoral decisions as a leader, as a spiritual leader, and all that encompasses?
all right, thank you. And good question. If you remember many years ago, we were going to, I think, Houston, Texas, to a National Baptist convention. You were with Dad. We had 2 vans. We had 25 Foot Lockers. We had all of that stuff for convention with convention merchandise. And Reverend Lawrence Risby, if you remember, Reverend Risby was riding with us. And
I
Reverend
remember
Risby at
well.
that time, Reverend Risby got sick coming back. Yeah. Reverend Risby, who was probably 70-ish or older, told me in my young days, he said, it's so many ways to be a fool in what we do and what we're called to do. And with the people who call us and that we're called to, Reverend Risby told me as a young preacher that it's so many ways to be a fool that it's hard to miss them all. And so it's hard to miss being foolish, being a fool, and doing those things that could embarrass you, embarrass your church, embarrass your family. I don't know any great preacher who hasn't done 1, 2, or all of the things that I have said. It's not that you fall. It's how you fall and how you manage yourself when you fall.
Mm.
The law of of gravity is what goes up must come down. And it's not just how you fall, it's how you see your fall.
Mm.
If you see your fall as correction, then correct what it is that God has allowed you to come to this place in. If you see your fall as perfection, every fall is not because you have been bad.
Yeah.
Some falls are for correction. Some falls are for perfection. And then some falls are for protection to keep you from getting to a people or a place that would not be good for you. Every place, Rick, is not good for you. Every pulpit is not good for you. Every preacher, I'm not saying the preacher is not good, but I'm saying not every preacher is good for you and where God is taking you. And so sometimes we fall for perfection, we fall for correction, or we fall for protection. And so manage your fall according to what you believe that fall was designed for, because every fall is designed for something.
It's super humbling, Dad, to come face to face with the reality that while there is this false expectation of perfection from people in pulpits, that it is impossible to attain.
It's impossible. It is
And
impossible. And it's harder when you believe the hype. It's harder when you believe the hype. It's fine for people to even place expectations on us. Always just do your best. It doesn't matter what the expectation is. My expectation of you, son, is to always do your best. There's nothing else beyond your best
Yeah.
that you can do. Just do your
Wow.
best. And if anybody expects any more out of you than that, that's fine. But when you sit down, when you lay down, when you fall down, you want to know, I did my best. I did my best.
Yeah. And here is an interesting truth about us as people. And I'm sensitive about this in my context, hopefully in a healthy way. But sometimes our personal best is not always our immediate best.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll say more to that.
Say more.
So, I've been running 100 miles every month for the last 2 months. July will start.
I tried. I think I got about 5 miles in.
July will start on Wednesday, I believe, and I will start again to hit another 100 miles. Now, sometimes, Dad, I have run a mile. The fastest I've run a mile so far is 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's my personal best. Some days I get out there, Doc. To be honest, this last week I got out there and I did my best. And my immediate best was closer to 10 minutes. Gave it all I had. Mustered through the pain of running, the strain of running, the agony of running. And in that moment, the best I had was a 10-minute mile. And my personal best is 8 minutes and 20 seconds. And so a lesson that I've learned through my running is that I cannot always judge my immediate best based on my personal best. Because in my preaching ministry, I could lead a meeting. I could envision a ministry opportunity. I could preach a sermon that becomes my personal best. And if I wrongly uphold myself now to this new standard that I haven't done anything if I didn't do this, I will miss the opportunity to still have the kind of serious impact like I'm seeing in my workouts, whether I run 8 minutes and 20 seconds or 10 minutes, I'm still burning calories. I'm still increasing my endurance. I'm still moving forward at some degree. And I think we have to appreciate while increasing my personal best will always be in my exercise life, in my ministry, in my leadership, in my personal life. Increasing my personal best is always ultimately the goal. But the immediate goal is, to your point, to always give my immediate best. That there is a big picture.
So
go ahead.
So I guess everything could use some defining or some parsing. One, what is my best and what determines my best? Preaching in churches all day doesn't know. So many times I preached a sermon and I called it my best because of the response of the people. And so that's a false sense of best. And so if best is determined by the outcome as opposed to the input, then you're going to be dissatisfied, disheartened, and disillusioned every time. how many miles did I run? If mileage determines the best versus how much did I put into it.
Wow.
Not did I get all I could get out of it. Is what determines your best. But did I put all that I could put into it?
Wow.
Some of the sermons that I call my best sermons and what I believe were my best, people didn't move. Some of the sermons that I spent 10, 15 days preparing, studying, researching, and putting the knowledge and the information there, people didn't move. And then, unfortunately, some of the sermons that I caught on my way to the pulpit, because of some other scheduling or something, people moved, ran, shouted. So does that determine my best? Or what? So sometimes, you got to define what's my best. And for me, my best is what I put in and not what I get out. And so I want to know at the end of the night, I put in a good day's work, a good day of contributions to life is what I call my best. When I've given my best contribution to life. And sometimes the best may be praying, it might be resting.
Yeah.
It might, whatever your best contribution is to life and to you is how I define best.
I think
So
that's
I think
huge,
on the
Dad.
day that you ran 8 minutes, that was your best. And the day that you ran 10 minutes, that was your best contribution to you on that day.
Wow.
And then not to be measured as success and failure. I gave my best contribution to me on both days.
Yeah, that's big. This COVID-19 season has taught me and given me an appreciation for what I contribute to myself. And quite honestly, I have taken pride in life in primarily to my contribution to other people. And I am now, I've been shifted to this new perspective that really values, and that's really the root of how my workouts have taken so much of a permanent place in my life in this season. Is because I've come to value my contribution to myself before I value my contribution to the benefit of others. So as a leader, as both for your leadership and life, how do you prioritize contributing your energy, your intellect, your wit, your wisdom to yourself? What does that look like in your life?
So that's a real fair and a real good question. And so I would have to say, and I would have to answer that question for now. And I'm
Right.
not sure if that is because I'm 56. I've pastored for 35 years. I preached for 35 years. I've been everywhere that I think I wanted to go. And so now priorities have shifted. Uh, I it's sad to say, but I think it's fair, and I should say that when I was younger, my priorities were strictly on preaching from one pulpit, from one city, from one state, from one flight to the other. And, time shifted for me and age and everything else. And now I would say, Rick, my priority now is first me. And I don't know who's going to like that and if anybody's going to like it. But after 5 churches, 2 divorces, 2 rock bottoms, as we know rock bottoms to be, you know, I've learned when it says love thy neighbor as thyself, that God has a great expectation on us for loving ourselves.
Mm.
And so I've learned how to love me. How so? By eating right, exercising, not running the street, not giving in to promiscuity,
Here, hold it this.
uh, 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 resting the body, the mind, and the soul. So I've given a lot of priority to myself. And as a result of that, I'm able to give my children, to give you, uh, your brothers and your sisters, your fair share of me. I'm able to give my church, Mount Olivet, in which I dearly love. I'm able to give my church my fair share of me. And I'm able to give even friends a fair share. And I give God a fair share of me because of how, and I can't say that I'm there, but having balanced my life, I can give the fair share to the places and people and things that I'm supposed to give it to at this time. So you got
That
to have
sounds like
self-care. Self-care is
that
very
sounds like
important.
that sounds like balance to me.
Balance, balance.
That we have to be able to honor ourselves among all of the responsibilities that as men and as leaders we honor. And I think that is a place that has far too long gone unappreciated. The priority of the self has been has taken a back seat to hard work, make money, make a name for yourself, be important, be seen, be in the forefront, be visible, be vocal. And so
Which
many, we've seen
equals,
countless.
which equals to, if you be all of those things that you said, be this, be that, that all equals be dead. So that equals be dead soon. And I've seen it so many times. I've seen it so many times, so many times. Be dead. You're not Superman. And you always got to remember this. Superman died, fell off a horse and died, broke his neck and died. So, even if you
Is
were
that true?
Superman, yes, Christopher
Oh,
Reeve.
right. What's the guy's
Oh
name?
yeah, Christopher Reeve. That was
He,
Superman.
sh- he sure did. Wow.
So even if you were Superman, you can understand he fell off a horse, broke his neck, and died. So you're not Superman. And if you were, that doesn't mean a lot anymore.
Wow.
So
That my
you can't be everything to everybody.
You know what I heard you say, Dad, and I'm using this. My superpower is
Well,
self-care.
self-care,
My
self-care.
superpower is
Yeah, if you use
self-care.
that, uh, self-care,
In keeping with
self-care.
that analogy, and I'm going to use that
Years
travel.
ago, Rick,
Go ahead.
years ago, there was a group out called the Staple Singers. Staple Singers. It was actually before my time, so long before your time. It was a group called the Staple Singers. They had a song out called "Respect Yourself,"
Mm.
and the run in the song says, "If you don't respect yourself, then ain't gonna give a hoot about you. Respect yourself, love yourself, be good to yourself, and if you can be good to yourself, you will be good to other people."
Mm. Mm. Wow. That I am the litmus test for how I treat others.
Yeah, yeah. How do you
And I can
treat yourself?
I can never treat anybody else better than I treat myself.
If you're stingy to yourself, chances are you're going to be stingy, one, to God.
Mm.
And then you'll be stingy to other people.
Wow. I love that. Super necessary. Dad, we're going to wrap up.
To yourself.
We're wrapping up. I appreciate you. I love you more than I can say. Thank you for these lessons learned. I'm enjoying these conversations, Dad. What about you?
I'm enjoying them too. And I look forward to continuing them up until whatever will become the finale. It would be nice to.
This is what I appreciate about social
what
media.
Our viewers are saying.
This is what I appreciate about social media. We don't have to have a finale. We get to do it as often as we choose, and we may choose to take breaks and come back when we want to and drop that fly on social media and come right back. And so I look forward to what will continue to come of these. Someone will transcribe this stuff for us. We're going to put this into some literature. And really, you see, my mom has really encouraged us to take these conversations all over the world in conferences and other things. And listen, I think this is our platform, Dad. I want to draw from the well of wisdom that you are as long as we live. And so I'm excited about this. Thanks, everybody, for being here and tuning in with us. Do us a favor, share this, like it, give us a little social media interaction so that the Facebook algorithm will be kind to us and let other people see this as the evening goes on. Dad, have a great night. I'm going to FaceTime you in a few minutes. We just need to talk.
Love you, son. Talk to you soon. Hit me up.
Love you more.
Good
Peace.
Night.